Good morning, Year 4. I hope you had a lovely half term. You were working super hard before half term looking at our statistics topic. Now we're going to move on to something different. We're going to start looking at our shape, and we're going to be looking at area and perimeter. And this week you're going to be working through your purple books looking at the area questions. You've been set one page, but we'd like you to look at set A, set B and set C today. So I'm just going to run through a few of these questions, okay? So area is a really important thing to know. An area pretty much means the size of a surface or the amount of space a shape takes up. So we're looking at how much space a shape takes up, okay? Looking at its size and how much is in the surface, okay? You might need area in real life. For example, if you were having new floor laid, okay, it would be much quicker to work out the edges of the shape and work out the area rather than measuring every little bit. For example, when I was decorating our classroom in BFG class, when I was adding wallpaper to the front, it was much quicker to work out the area, the size of that wall at the front, rather than measuring each little bit. So it's a really good skill to learn, okay? And today's lesson is just going to focus on counting the squares, which is one way that you can use to work out area. Okay, so let's look at what it says at the start. So it says area is just a way of describing the total amount of space that a shape takes up. You can find the area by counting the number of squares that fit inside a shape. So often you'll see the shapes will be drawn on squared paper. So this is there to help you. So for example here, if we was to count the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the area is 6 centimetre squared, okay? You can't forget to add that in on the end. Again, here it's saying, oh, okay, that's half a square, that's also half a square. Well, we know that if you add two halves together, you get one. So to start off with, you just need to count these squares to work out what the area would be. So let's have a look at question 4 of what is the area of D. So all I need to do is count these squares. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's okay to write on them because then you know you haven't missed any off. So the area of D is 12 centimetre squared. Now I know for some of you, because we often talk about using arrays in our maths, there's a quicker way to do this. So we know we've got 2 squares at the bottom, and down the side we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I multiply those together, if I done 6 multiplied by 2, that would give me 12. So that's a quicker way to do it. So you could practice that today, but remember if you've got some extra shapes on the end, you might need to count those on after. We'll move on to using this method tomorrow, but today it's okay if you just want to count the squares, okay? I also just wanted to show you question 5 quickly, which says what 2 shapes have a total of 17 squares. So you're going to need to count these, find out the area for all of these shapes, and then practice adding some together so that you can see. Okay, let's have a look now at set B. So, on set A, you're just going to carry on counting the squares so that you can find the areas of these shapes. Set B then, let's have a look at question 5. So it says, on a centimetre square grid, draw a rectangle with the same area as shape C. So I need to look at shape C, and I need to work out what that area is first. So today I'm just going to count the squares. I could split my shape up like this and say, well, I've got 2 times 3, so that would be 6. But I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so shape C then is 12 centimetres squared. Okay, I'm just going to write that on there. And now I need to draw a rectangle which equals 12 centimetres squared. Okay, so I'm going to get my square paper now. You've been given some square paper in your maths book. So I'm trying to create a rectangle that's 12 centimetres squared. So what I know about a rectangle is I know that 2 sides are of equal length. Okay, I need to be careful that I don't end up drawing a square. Okay, so I know that 2 times 6 would give me 12. I know 3 times 4 gives me 12. So I could choose one of those. I'm going to do 2 times 6. And I'm going to do 2 across the bottom and 6 for the length. So I've done 2 for the width and 6 for the length. So as I know, one of these squares equals 1 centimetre. So I can see that on my ruler. But I can either draw that across with my ruler or just count 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. you will do yours in pencil, what I've just done mine in pen, so that you can see it nice and clearly on the video. Okay, so let me just check that this equals 12 centimetres squared. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. So this one equals 12 centimetre squared. So that's how to do that one. So you need to work out the area of the shape first before you go and draw it. Okay, let's have a look at set C now. So before, when you're doing set B, on these ones you just need to be counting the squares, and on these ones you need to draw a square with a width of 4 centimetres. So think about what you know about a square. Set C then, let's look at question 5. How many times larger is shape C than shape E? So if I had shape E, which is 3 squares, I'm seeing how many of these would fit into that shape. So let's look at the area of shape E to start with. Well, that's quite easy. That's just 3. So E is 3 centimetres squared. Okay, now let's look at the area of C. So again, if I wanted to, I could split this up to make it easier to count. So this would be 2 multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that bit's 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So C is 21 centimetre squared. If you find that way tricky for now, just count the squares. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I know that that's 3. I know that that's 21. If you were finding this really tricky, you could draw around 3 of the squares each time and see how many of those fit in, okay? But I'm going to use my division facts to help me. So I know if I was to do 21 divided by 3, that would leave me with 7. So I could do 7 lots of 3 would give me 21. 7 lots of 3 would give me 21. I could do 7 of these groups of 3, and it would fill up the whole thing. So have a go at question 4 with that one. Okay, very last one I'm going to show you then is question 8. A rectangle with a length of 8 centimetres and a width that is half of its length. So I need to think how many squares would fit into this. So let's draw it first of all. So I'm drawing a rectangle with a length of 8 centimetres and a width that's half its length. Okay, let's do the easy bit first. Let's draw a rectangle with a length of 8 centimetres. So I'm going to count my squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's, let me just check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 centimetres. Okay, so I want its width to be half of its length. So looking at this, half of 8 is 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it's going to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, finish it off so that it makes a rectangle. Notice how it's not a square because all the sides are not the same length. It's definitely a rectangle. Okay, this would be 4 centimetres. So now, because I've drawn it out in my book and I can see the squares, I can now work out how many squares it would be altogether. I can work out what the area is. Now I could count them all up, 1, 2, 3, 4, or I could use my times tables a bit like what I showed you at the start, and I could do 8 times 4, which I know is 32. Don't forget my centimetre squared, okay? If ever you want to check your answers, go back and count them. Make sure you've got 32 squares there, then you know you've done it right. Okay, so this is some new learning we're looking at the moment. So if you have any questions, please ask us and we can put you in the direction of new videos, or we can find some links that might help you. But just give this a go. Remember today to use counting the squares to help you work these out. If you need any help, please let us know.